Let's get more now on the developments in Newcastle as they move closer to finding a new manager. Keith Downey is joining us live right now. Tell us about it all. Who is the favourite now, Keith?
Yeah, Rob, you can see that there. I think probably in the bottom of your screen, the favourite to take over here at Newcastle United from the sack Steve Bruce 2 weeks ago is in fact Unai Emery, the current manager of Villarreal. Things have moved on significantly since the weekend. Of course, that 3-0 defeat here to Chelsea has made the owners of the club realise that they need to get someone in soon. I think they want to ensure that they have a manager in this week ahead of the trip to Brighton on Saturday, which will then give the new manager a couple of weeks to work with the players in international break. And Unai Emery is the man, we can tell you, that the club, we understand, are lining up to take over from the sacked Steve Bruce. Now, as I said, Emery is currently under contract at Villarreal. It will take £5 million worth of compensation to get him out of his current contract there. And while Emery said yesterday publicly he'd heard nothing from Newcastle United, privately there is a feeling that the Spaniard has unfinished business in the Premier League after being sacked by Arsenal back in 2019. He turns 50 tomorrow, Unai Emery, so Newcastle will hope to try and get him in, probably some work done tomorrow on his birthday and try and get him in before the weekend. I don't think, though, they're just naming Emery just yet. I don't think he is the only one. I think there are others that they remain interested in should they not manage to land Unai Emery. Roberto Martinez is one that we've been mentioning for a couple of weeks now. I think certainly he is one that they have been interested in all along. So too Lucien Favre, the former Borussia Dortmund manager. But certainly this morning we can tell you that Unai Emery has now become the favourite to take over here. He's under serious consideration by the Newcastle United owners to be in charge ahead of that match against Brighton on Saturday.
OK, Keith, thank you very much indeed. So let's get into this then, shall we? Mario and Paul. He's preparing for a game against Young Boys tonight, and we heard it's his birthday. What do you think, Mario? Will it be many happy returns to the Premier League then for Unai Emery? How do you see that one going?
You know what's the crucial part? What I always smile about is the managers that have a record when they were already in the Premier League, but then when they left in a way that they didn't want to leave, they always want to come back. Why? Because the mindset is like a footballer. When you lose a game, or if the game doesn't end the way you want it to be, you always want to come back and play the game again and making sure you can leave something else behind. And if he comes this way, could only be that reason. If Emery comes back and being in charge of a side like Newcastle, that's of course everybody knows now in the situation they are now, and the rebuilding and the structure they want to bring to that club. Yeah, he definitely want to be in charge of that. Why not? I mean, the $5 million that they have to pay for him. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still, money is it's still one of the key things that you don't want to give out if it's not necessary. But $5 million is not going to stop Newcastle from getting whoever they want.
Yep, he's in charge, as we know, of Villarreal. They used to call them the Yellow Submarine because they used to go up and down, in and out of La Liga all the time, Paul. They're not one of Spain's powerhouses, but under Unai Emery, he has put them on the agenda again, especially with the Europa League last season. But this season, struggling somewhat, haven't they? Only 2 wins in La Liga. They lost to Valencia last time out. There are mitigating circumstances, of course, but it seems to be a team that's struggling at the moment.
Yeah, do you know what? From a Newcastle fan's point of view, putting myself in that situation, you've got all these millions promised to invest into the squad, and I'm not so sure an appointment like Unai Emery would excite me, in all honesty, because I think Newcastle fans and people in this country will look at his time at Arsenal. It wasn't a success. What he did there, he couldn't get the team playing for him. He couldn't get a certain formation and identity, and he struggled in the season that he was here. But you look at his record, at Seville, at PSG, Villarreal now. His stats and his figures they add up. But for me, from a Newcastle fan's point of view, it wouldn't be a managerial appointment that excites me. You look at where they are in the league at the moment. Newcastle's a long-term project. We know that. You can't go from the bottom 3 in the Premier League to Champions League winners in 2 or 3 seasons. This is work in progress. And I think their managerial appointment now is crucial because they have to stay in the league. That's the first thing that Newcastle have to do this season, is stay in the league. They need a manager who can do that in January. They need to sign players because that squad of players that they've got, as we've seen, isn't good enough. There's a lot of players there that were still there in the Championship. They need to sign very, very wisely in January, but they need to recruit players who can keep them in the league. They need a manager who can keep them in the league. They don't need a world-class manager like Antonio Conte yet, managers without experience at the bottom end of the Premier League. It's a very, very tough place to be. Believe me, I've been down there a couple of times, and it's not easy. And managers without experience of that will struggle. It'll be interesting if Emery does come in. Yeah,
one manager, I'm looking at the breaking news on the bottom of the screen there, Mario, and it's given the other contenders in there. Roberto Martinez is one, obviously, who knows how to operate at both ends of the scale, isn't he? OK, tell us about him, and would he really, though, walk away from Belgium with a World Cup on the horizon?
I mean, he was also in the contention of leading the line at Barcelona. It won't surprise me. Look, the Premier League will be always something that managers will listen to. And I think being in the situation, of course, be able to go to Newcastle, and what Paul already said, it's like a long-term project, because I've been myself when I was at Chelsea, when Abramovich took over. It was a long journey. It was not something that you do today. You got to have someone that is capable and is willing to sit there and can build the team and the club in a momentum that it becomes interesting for everybody to join. And I think, of course, Martinez has that skill. He did it at Belgium, because definitely when he became the manager at that team, he had to build a national team in a way that was on a longer project. I saw a storytelling of himself where he really went deep into it, and he said what are the key things for him. And he always been like that. When I was at Wigan, he was like that. He always, the way he spoke about the game, the way he wanted to build it, that's one of his key things. And he has the backbone and the strength, the understanding, in the sense of sometimes you have to put your foot through it. I don't always, sometimes I ask myself when I have conversations with him regarding that. But the skill and the knowledge and the understanding of the game, he definitely has.
Yeah. If you're looking for someone who knows the Premier League, though, inside out, on that list there, Eddie Howe. Paul is down there as well, but he's got a relegation on his CV. Does that count against him?
He's got a relegation on his CV, but he also knows how to keep a team in the Premier League on a very small budget, which he did with Bournemouth for a number of years. He's very well respected as a coach, as a manager, as a man manager. He was able to get the best out of those players at Bournemouth. So when you look at his track record, yes, he's got a relegation on his CV, but he also knows how to do it on a small budget. That would be an option for them. Long term, would he be part of a project? I mean, it would be an opportunity for him to go into a job. He's been out of work for a very long time. He's been linked with a lot of jobs, and he hasn't landed them. Notably, the Celtic job of more recent times. I think he was touted very widely for that, and he didn't get that job. He's been out of football for a while. That would be an opportunity for him to rebuild his reputation and rebuild a football club as well at the same time. And that type of manager, if you get the results and you scrape and you stay in the Premier League, then maybe you look to change again next year. You've got your Premier League status, and that's when you start building. If somebody like Eddie Howe comes in at the end of halfway through this season now, does a fantastic job, Newcastle rocket up the table, you stick with him, you go with the project and you build. This is why it's taken them so long to employ a manager there. They're new into football. They're obviously coming in with a huge wealth. They want to change that club, but you can't change it overnight. You can't go buy world-class stars that are going to save you from relegation. This is why they're taking so long over the managerial appointment.
What is the more attractive proposition right now, Mario? If you were a manager out of work, Newcastle or Tottenham?
I think both are in a similar situation, in the sense of like you're taking a job. Of course, look, come on, we all know what happened at Spurs. You take the job and you got to deal with two things. That's the only difference, I think. I think when you have Lima, you have to talk to him. You have to understand, because that battle will always be forever, that you have a person above your head, knowing that he always wants to be in control. If you don't do what he does, he has no time for you. When you go to Newcastle, it's all new. So we don't know how they're going to operate. That's the only difference between the two sides. But away from that, I mean, Spurs is a great, hearing it from me, yeah, Spurs is still a great job to take, because they have a new stadium. Paul jumped into that. He said a new stadium, the way they built it, everything around that club is great. Now you just have to make sure that you also perform like that and have a team on the field that can do that. And Spurs, and Newcastle, it's just a journey that has to be built now. And what you can say about a club, I always love going to that stadium to play against them. So, and that will never go.
Okay, there we go. I'm not going to ask Paul because he'll just say Tottenham, won't you, Paul?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, there we go.